Well, congratulations, number one, for standing up.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Let's find out who Gabriel Lopez is.
Well, Gabriel Lopez is a child who comes from a large family from Laredo, a migrant worker. He used to go up north when I was a child, and then my parents decided to move to San Antonio right after finished middle school, and then went to San Antonio, started living there. At the age of 19, I decided to join the service. Joined the Navy in 1987, and I was going to originally join for 4 years, but then I ended up staying, and I retired in 2007. Through my 20 years, I went from Desert Storm to Iraq to Afghanistan, and it was those difficult times. I was trying to raise a family, being there with my family as much as I could. Deployment after deployment. I only had maybe about a year and a half of peacetime,
Sure.
and then afterwards everything just went down as far as deployments and commitments and all kinds of things to go. But it was a good life in the Navy. I saw a lot of things. I traveled quite extensively. It shaped who I am now. It gave me some values that I think are important. It was tough though. My transition to civilian life was very, very difficult. 20 years of behaving, acting in one certain way. It does things to you that persons who haven't experienced that may see outward, may see differently, different behaviors. Suffering from, I didn't know at the time, but the transition was really difficult, and I didn't know I was suffering from PTSD, and started seeing some injustices to our veterans that really made me speak out, and trying to find employment. I had to mention that in my 20 years naval service, I was able to manage to get a degree. One class here, one class there, and it took me 18 years to do that.
Well, congratulations. Number one, we want to thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
And we want to thank all the veterans out there and those that are fighting for our freedoms that are still enlisted right now. We want to thank you all.
Yes, sir.
Because if it wasn't for you all, our flag does not wave. That is the honest truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And I feel with you that our veterans are not treated correctly. That we've forgotten about them, and we cannot forget about them. We need to help them. There's a lot of programs out there, but we need to stand up a little bit more for them, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. So you're right. And I have to say this because as a society in America, we promise, and of course I was a child, but we promise that we will never let a generation of veterans, we will never forget them, we will never abandon them again like we did to our brothers in Vietnam.
Sure.
And there are some gaps of services that we need to address, and I think society is not up to that level, and I don't think it will never get to that level of mistreatment or how we treated our Vietnam veterans, but there are some injustices. So after I retired, came back to Laredo, was raising three daughters. One of them is deceased now, and started looking for employment. It was very difficult finding employment here. I was used to, well, first of all, I never had a job interview in 20 years. My job interview was, my last job interview that I had was to go take a physical and take a written exam, see how smart you were and see how physically in shape you were, or I was. So that was difficult. But then, I started finding employment, part-time here and there and everything. And started working for the state of Texas after about a year or so. And I started advocating for veterans issues immediately right after that. I remember one time I was literally crying of desperation and anger at the VA clinic because I knew there was something wrong with me. I didn't know how I was supposed to behave. I demanded things to happen, and they weren't gonna happen. I gave orders instead of asking for things like normal people do. So it was very difficult. But I started, getting treatment and then I started getting into the community, involved with the community, talking to other veterans, getting a group together, peer-to-peer network, doing things for our community that kind of center myself into what I needed to do. And here I am. Here I am 10 years later after my retirement, trying to do something for our community, trying to give the government back to our community.
Right. All those stories, because I've taught them, I've taught a lot of students. Okay, and one of my students that you probably meet this week, his name is Patrick Gavin. He's actually a lieutenant commander right now in the service in the Navy,
Right.
and right now he's a president of USA Survive. He's been my student for 20 years, so I've seen him grow. I've seen a lot of veterans come through my school, and I've seen them change. In fact, he has a wonderful program over there in the Great Lakes area, naval base over there. It's called the Wounded Project for Warriors.
Right.
I think it's Hawkeye Wounded Project for Warriors, which we teach a lot, and he does that. He does an excellent job with them. And we can't let go. We cannot just forget about them. We have to help out.
Right.
All of us, because number one, they come back. That we entrusted you all to go fight for us. Now we have to fight for you guys, so you guys can get back here. And that's one thing that I see politicians forget.
Right.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I see them talk a good talk, and they don't do the walk.
Right.
Understand what I'm saying? They all great, but they'll be there on 4th of July. They'll be there on Memorial Day. They'll be there praising. But you know what I'm saying? But they won't be out there doing.
I give you a prime example of that. I've always been an advocate for homeless veterans, and I share my story with you as we go on and why I advocated for homeless veterans. A year ago, roughly about a year and a half ago, about a year ago, I went to Commissioner's Court to support an item on the agenda. And this item was the creation of a veterans village for homeless veterans. And we all went there and we praised the commissioner, how great an idea was, and it was going to be over there by Mines Road, and the Army Corps of Engineers was going to come in, they were going to build it, and it was going to be working with Tammy Yu and everything, and it was a grand show there that we put up at the Commissioner's Court. Only for that project to die a year later, because nobody moved on it. So it's just a sample after example of how we talk, but we don't act on it. And we need to act. We need to do more action rather than talking.
You're absolutely correct. You see, I always commend everybody who wants to stand up and run for public official, elected public official. Okay, you all are standing up for voicing a community of a certain area. Okay, but many forget once they get in there about the community that elected them. They get washed into this type of thorn bush, whether it's by accident but just default, as for saying, right? I don't know. ¿Me entiendes? So I don't know where we've gone wrong. But we have good elected officials now. But I think if everybody would just kind of start focusing into what we need to do instead of everybody scattered all over the place, I think we'd do a lot better job.
Well, it's one word that is currently missing from our city government, our present city government. It's actually two words put together. But they seem to forget the meaning of teamwork.
You sure?
It's okay, you want to do something for your district, and everybody pulls for it, but, you have to come to a consensus, and you have to build teams so that you can do greater things for the community as a whole. Yes, you represent your district, but you also represent the city. And so city government is not supposed to work against each other. It's supposed to work as in a collective union,
as a unit.
As a unit towards one goal. And I don't think we're there now. And in fact, you have, when I started knocking on doors and trying to meet people and explaining, introducing myself, One of the questions I often get asked is, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the gang five or the good ones? So sometimes they say that the good ones are not the gang of five, but the so it seems that the perspective that we have in Laredo now is that we have a city council that is fighting. One half is fighting against the other half.
You know, and it's sad, and it resonates through the votes.
Right.
You don't have people out there voting, and we have to build trust, and we have to be truthful about things.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just go ahead and, you know what, we're going to help you, but all of a sudden when the project's done, they kick you, and all of a sudden that money's used for something else or whatnot. You know?
Right. Right.
But we've had good issues in the past, done right, and I think we all have to come back, like you said, teamwork. How is Gabriel Lopez going to change that when you go in?
Okay, it's not going to happen overnight, but you have to present your ideas, and you really have to talk to the other person. You have to talk to the city council, and you have to make them understand that in order to get, it's a process. In order to move forward and change these image that we have, we really have to come to a consensus. The way to do it is to actually put programs forth that will benefit the entire city of Laredo, not just one district. Of course, I'm going to dedicate myself to make sure that everything in the district is taken care of. You know, all the things that happen with the streets and lighting and all public safety and the horn and all the other things that come with it. But you have to present projects that will benefit the entire city of Laredo. We need to do that, and and we really need. I really need to convince these folks that teamwork is the only way to go. For that, I have to introduce projects that, number one, are going to benefit the entire community. Number two, are doable. We cannot present projects that are going to really take a chunk out of money and is really not going to benefit us. Okay. And number three is, I am going to put together teams of experts. You know, we have wonderful. We can create partnerships with industry here in Laredo that can give us ideas, and then introduce our citizenry to participate. It seems that decisions that are made at City Council are made without the input from the citizens. We need to include the citizens on the projects that we want to do, so that they're aware of what's going to happen. It really comes down to transparency, and convince them that the projects that we need to put forward are going to benefit the entire city of Laredo.
Sure. Well, you got your hands full if you
Yes.
get inside, okay?
Yes, sir.
And you know, and I think they all know that. I think if they would all just sit down and say, you know what, let's move forward, all the sides' personalities, as many claim, I think the city will run a little bit better. I think it's changed a little bit, okay? It wasn't a forceful issue, but I think that some of those old ways that still linger, we have to push them out, like some of the suppressive tactics that they use in some of the departments. It has to stop.
It has to stop. Yes.
You know, finally, after years, we're getting our leaders in the Democratic Party here accepting that there's voter fraud or apparent voter fraud. Now they're looking into it.
Right.
So we're in a step in a good direction. You know what I'm saying? But
But
it takes time.
all these things that happen that are making people speak out is really letting the public know what we're doing, and then voicing their opinion when something is right, and when something is wrong, you gotta call it what it is.
Yeah.
So you know, we just have to do that. We can't put everything under the rug and just say, you know, as they used to say, como se vaya, como salga. And we have to work together.
Or for them to say, así es.
Así
No le
es.
haces nada. Así es. That's the
Right.
way it is. No, that's not the way it is.
That's not the way it is.
They're
yeah.
plain and simple, you know. What projects do you have in mind?
I really need to. One of the projects that we need to do is how we're gonna. We depend. One of the largest industry that we have here in Laredo, it's our transportation. Okay, So we need to incorporate them and to see how we can solve the project of not only the Mines Road, but also the south. Okay, that's just on the quality of life, improving our streets, improving our transportation issue. We have some issues with that. We are the largest inland core, but yet the infrastructure that we have is not adequate. So but in order to do that, we have to get with the Motor Carriers Association, with all the associations that are out there that deal with that type of industry, to come together and figure out ways of how we can do that. Now, that's one. Another project that I have vision is really for our citizens to come together and to really have a voice in our government. Finding out what is it that we can do in order for us, for our public to be aware of how our government works. Let's be honest, 2 meetings a month with all the things that go on in the city is not enough. We're not, it's the meetings that we have on our city council, I don't think the people are even aware of what happens in it. We need to change that. How do we get our citizenry to really connect with our city government? So they don't even know what happens. Some of the decisions that they make.
It's called trust.
Okay?
And I think they've lost trust. And you see it in the voting. That's my opinion.
Right?
And you see it in the voting now. It's going less and less. Folks do not trust, period, on many levels of the government.
Right.
Okay, so how do we gain our trust back? It's be truthful.
Right?
When you do something, be
Absolutely.
truthful. And as you say, transparency. No, let's just be truthful. This is what we're doing.
Exactly.
This is what we want to do. What's the feedback? It's not like, I'm going to do it because I'm the city councilman. If you don't like it tomorrow, guess what's going to happen to your business? The food inspector is going to be over there knocking at your door.
Yes.
We can't have that,
No, we cannot.
okay? We cannot have that anymore.
And we cannot have our citizens suffer just because we do business with some type of land developer or some developer, and the new neighborhoods that we're adding, or the suburbs that we're adding, if you want to call it that, are inadequate. We have so many subdivisions that have only one exit or one entrance. Who planned this? How did this come about? And so we need to get with those folks that live in that neighborhood and then find out what solutions we can come up with, But yes, you're right. The lack of trust in our city, in our citizens is very, very high.
Yeah, so we have to, number one, we have to build that, and how do we do that? And I think it comes out from people that go in to do what they said they were going to do,
Exactly.
okay? Don't promise something if you're not going to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Rather just say, you know what, I'm here, I'm going to work hard, but let's move forward. Then say, I'm going to do this, and have a big list that you did nothing.
Exactly.
And then at the end, 3 years come around and they're running for re-election, and then they get asked, well, what happened to all this stuff? What are you talking about? So that's just the way it
Or
is.
they do what I call it now. I don't know if this is politically a term that is used in the political arena, but I call it election manipulation.
Election manipulation.
Yeah, because all of a sudden they
Is that
wanna-
like turkeys, turkeys for votes?
No, because they go to a neighborhood, they ignore that neighborhood for 3 years, and then when it comes to election, all of a sudden you start seeing these speed bumps on the street, you start seeing replacement of stop signs, and you start seeing this meet and greet. Wait a minute, where were you the last 3 years? And that's why people don't have the trust, because they say that they see it and they say, well, why was there no communication between us in the last 3 years? But now that you're running, you want to do all these things.
Right.
And that's how the votes sometimes, they garnish the votes that way. But it's illegal, yeah, it's perfectly legal, but it's a waste of resources that the city has.
Let's talk about the museum.
Mm-hmm.
You as a veteran, what is going on with the museum? What has happened? Where is it at? Have you heard anything about it?
Yes. Well, the museum, it goes, when they started talking about building the museum, I was still active duty. So that tells you how far back it goes. There was one site that was proposed. many years ago, and it was a historical house that was passed down from generation to generation from the Farias home.
Sure.
And the Laredo Veterans Coalition, they wanted to, originally they wanted to have it there. Then there was a rupture between the Laredo Veterans Coalition, some of its members, and they said, no, we want to pull out of the contract. The city had agreed to pay $500,000 in the county to pay another $500,000 for the construction of a museum at the Farias home. Those monies are still there, but obviously, when the Laredo Veterans Coalition decided not to go with the Farias home, there was another alternate location that we were going to look for. But we didn't have a location, so time went on, and it was on and on, and it was, we want to do it at LCC, no, we want to do it at behind the VA clinic, and then recently, Charlie San Miguel, Councilmember San Miguel, got together with a group of veterans, and we want to do it at North Central Park. I supported originally, and then I said, no, this is not the way it's going to work, so I was opposed it. And eventually we had a forum where all the veterans got together, and at that time, the Laredo Veterans Coalition had decided not to have it there at the North Central Park. So, there we are. We have a veteran almost 15 years later. And first of all, we don't have the resources. We don't have the funding to do a museum. We don't have a location. So are we ever going to see a museum? We will, but I think it's going to take a lot more years for that to happen. We just don't have the resources. And unless they settle the Farias issue, we won't see it happen.
That's sad. And again, it goes with personalities, and
Right.
people should put these personalities aside and let's do something for the benefit.
Mhm.
And it's not just me. It's a whole.
Yes, and if Veterans Museum ideally will be downtown, because that's where everything's at. Even though downtown needs a lot of help itself, it's not. It's dirty. We talk about the area downtown. It's dirty. It's there's some people there, whatever. So, but if it gets built downtown, I think it would be a huge magnet for a downtown area, whether it be the Farias home or LCC or any other place.
I wouldn't mind LCC because you have the fort, you have the historical issue there, and people can still get to it on the weekends if they want to go see it. During the day, they can. It's not a place that you can't get to.
Right.
Understand?
Mhm.
You can get to. It just depends on the train every so often.
One of the arguments against having it at LCC is that it only had one entrance, but in reality it has three entrances. So that's some of the things that had happened with the Veterans Museum. I have a few years ago, a team that I put together. We did a collection for artifacts from people here in Laredo of military things. So I still have those. They're still in storage that are ready to be up for display whenever we decide to do that.
And it's beneficial. Any museum preserves history.
Mm-hmm.
We have a beautiful history here,
Right.
and we have a lot of veterans here. And we have veterans. We got artifacts that go into the Civil War here,
Right.
and with families here. Okay, I don't see why we can't do it. Now, if the city wants to do it by themselves, and the city wants to say, you know what, we're going to build a museum, then anybody can jump, scream, and shout. They can put it wherever they want.
Right.
Understand what I'm saying? Now, if the Veterans Coalition or the team of veterans, or they all get together and do it, now they want to buy a place and they want to place it, they need to find it by themselves. But if the city's going to say, we're going to build it here, there's no arguing with that. It's a city that has the land, and it's, we can
they
just
have
say,
the
you know what,
resources.
let's just do it.
And actually tonight from 6 to 8, they're going to have a guest speaker at the UT Health Center. I think it's the curator of the Military Heritage Center out of College Station, if I'm not
Sure.
mistaken. And I think it's going to serve as an eye-opening for a lot of veterans because a lot of veterans are under the impression that, okay, let's build a museum, let's put a house, let's put some cardboard up, and let's put some stuff in there. And it takes a lot more than that. And I think it's going to be an eye-opener because we're going to hear from this guy, you know, how much does it really cost? Does it take to build a museum? Just to pay a curator in itself, we're not talking about, you know, $725 an hour. So that would be an eye-opener for them.
You know, I see Dallas, and you had Ross Perot. Ross Perot said, "I'm going to build a museum for science and history, and I'm going to put it right here." And Dallas said, "Well, I'm going to build it." So he put his money, and he built it right there in the property that he has. And later on, he says, "I'll donate it to the city." Now the city gets profits from it.
Right.
Understand? Now, that's something different. This is a person saying, "I'm going to build it here because this is my property and this is what I'm going to do." It's not the city of Dallas said, "You know what, we're going to build blah, 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 blah." It was, "I'm going to build it," did it, later on give it
Right.
for the profits. But here we have the city saying that they're going to build it. And we have a group of people saying, "We don't want it there. We want it over here." Well, if the city's giving us the property, I think we should say, "You know what? How do you want the inside to paint? Do you want us to help you get the art?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it should be.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, it's unfortunately it's not that way.
Yeah.
And so with a lot of other problems, you know, Veterans Museum is great. People go see it. The community, the persons who didn't serve want to go see it. But there are also other needs that we forget to address. You know, we have a food bank that was created specifically, and I was a huge part of that, specifically to feed veterans who don't have enough food to eat towards the end of the month. And we serve over 500 veterans there. We have a homeless population problem of veterans. We have issues, and we want to cover it and not address those issues. And Veterans Museums is good, it's great, I love it. Let's bring it, let's build it. But we have to be mindful of how much it's going to cost, and you know, and who's going to do it. But we also need not to forget the other issues that are facing our veterans.
No, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. What else do you propose for the city?
Well, like I said, I mentioned the transportation. I mentioned the working with our citizens. But I also want to make sure that we stop spending money. We have to be fiscally responsible. Okay. I want to talk to the experts and find out how much money do we really owe the city. Where are we financial as the city? You know, are we? Where are we about? What happens if there's the market crash? Well, what's going to happen to our finances, our city finances? I also propose that, or I'm going to propose it once I'm elected, that we cap that. We cannot spend money that we don't have. You know, and we cannot get money on credit and just say, you know, well, let's just put it on credit, let our children pay for it. You know, I go to the ATM machine every Monday and I take out the money that I'm going to use for that weekend, and if I run out, I have to wait till next Monday. So those are the things that I want to do. I want to implement some fiscal responsibility and stop spending money we don't have. And that would benefit all of the citizens of Laredo, because, you know, we come up with these projects that we want to do, and it only increases our taxes. And then we end up having projects that are not functioning. You know, a Pico water plant. You know, how much money did we pay for it? And it's not working properly. You know, why we'll build the outlet machines, the outlet shops. I want to know what's the revenue? How much is it bringing? Is it working? Is it not working? You know, we need to look at projects where our money is going and how are we managing that money. So in a way, fiscal responsibility, that's what I want to make sure that I tackle that.
Those are good points of view, you know, and how about in your area? What does your district encompass? Have any new changes in your district?
Well, yes, in specifically in my district is, there are a couple of subdivisions that really need attention, okay? The Santo Nino area, okay, Santo Nino area, specifically talking about the Pine Street. Pine Street, that neighborhood area, it's mostly the demographics of it's elderly folks that live there. Okay, there's 83 runs right through it.
Okay.
There is no way for them to cross 83. We need to figure out a way on how to make, maybe perhaps putting pedestrian,
Crossover.
yeah, crossover on certain areas, you know, maybe distance them where the folks who live on the east side of 83 can come up to the west side of 83. That's one thing. And then another thing, we have to improve that Santo Niño neighborhood. It's one of the oldest neighborhoods, but it doesn't even have sidewalks. You know, how do we do that? So looking at each neighborhood, finding out what the needs of each neighborhood is, and then addressing in those. But the huge one is the pedestrian bridges, because we need to really look at that. And then we need to work with El Metro. Our population depends on the Metro, but yet I think the system is inadequate. I don't, you know, they tell me sometimes it takes longer, and then, you know, from go to point A to point B, you have to take 2-3 routes, or you have to go downtown and catch another bus to get here. Our students who graduated, it's hard for them to go to TAMU without going downtown first.
Right.
So what is the Metro doing to fix that problem, to address that need? So those are some of the things, that the projects that I have in mind to address those problems and to find out, come up with a solution. You know, I mean, we're paying them folks a lot of money, and you know, and also if you take a look around, not all the stop signs have a roof. They don't have a little shade. Why is that? You know, this is some comparisons that I see that need to be addressed. Why is it that we don't have, well, you know, why? Some neighborhood has this other dome, but yet it's the same project.
Right. Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Yes.
Hi, yes. This is Claudia Can, and I had a
Claudia.
question as far as, hi, how are you?
Good. Good.
Is this Paul? Or
Yes,
is this, I can't really.
yes,
Oh,
this
hi.
What's
Hi,
your question,
Paul?
Corina? Yes, Can.
Well, I wanted to know, you had brought up trust,
Uh-huh.
and that I know is a big deal in Laredo, especially because, well, I've been watching the city council meetings, and it seems like it's who you know. It's sounding like a lot of times, you know how Laredo is, and, you know, who has this pull and that pull. And I wanted to know how things can be changed, or what can be done to maybe fix something like that.
About the trust issue?
On the trust issue, as far as if Mr. Lopez could enlighten us on how he maybe can change things to where there's a more honest system, because that doesn't always seem to be the case.
That's a good question.
And
Yes, thank you for your call, and I didn't get your last name or the name.
Claudia Can?
Yes.
Claudia Can.
Thank you for your question. Yes, trust is a very huge factor that we need to address as city council. But what I propose is that in order for the city, for the government, for citizens to have trust in us, we have to really abide by the law. We have to abide the law,
Yeah.
and we have to follow the procedures that are in our city charter. We have to implement those. We have a lot of safety mechanisms in our city government that will protect us from doing the wrong thing, but only if we follow them. And I think we need to stand up and not only to the city manager, but to all of the city government, and to enforce them to follow the procedures that are set forth in our charter. If we do that, people will see that we're doing the right thing. And whenever something is wrong,
yeah.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
And whenever something's wrong, we as elected officials, you know, we have to admit to it that is wrong. There's nothing wrong with admitting your faults as long as you learn from them. But if we build this ego that we're elected officials and nothing can touch us, well then we're doing a disservice to the people who voted for us.
Yeah, good points.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I just wanted to say that I do think that the council is doing a great job. I just think because of the past, people are, like Paul has said, people just aren't trusting as much. So I think that would be a good thing for the city council to work on that, because unfortunately, because of what has happened in the past, they're bearing the brunt of it. So that's I love what you said, and thank you.
No, you're correct. Thank you for calling.
Thank
you have
you.
a great
You're
day.
welcome. Thank you.
Claudia.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Those are great points. And again, it comes down to being truthful. Be truthful to yourself.
Right.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing it for?
I think people have to. If you look at my my slogan, my political slogan is "People first, mission always." And I learned that. I use that because we have to put our people first. Find out what is it that we're doing for them, but we always have to keep in mind what's our mission. What is my mission once elected? My mission is to do what is right for the community and to make sure that everything that I do falls in compliance with the law.
Yeah.
And make sure that whatever we do, whatever we attempt to do, it doesn't go into the it's my ego, I'm doing it. We don't do nothing by ourselves. I have this phrase that I really like. Work is individual working. An individual who works for himself. I forgot, but I'll bring it later.
Here's one, and I remember an old general that used to drink coffee when we were in Irving. He used to say, "Remember, Paul, you have the 6 P's. Perfect planning prevents piss poor performance."
That's right.
And we need that, and I would always laugh when he would always say that, and I keep that in mind, and we can't just shoot from the hip.
Work as an individual is a myth.
Sure.
That's what I was trying to say.
That's a good one.
Because our people always want to take credit for things, and even for things they didn't even do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you don't take credit for something, you just do something because it's right, because it's going to benefit the people, or it's going to benefit your community, then who cares who takes the credit? And I see that time and time again, and even with any organization. Even with any organization, we call those folks in the military, we call them one-upper. You do something, he's always done something higher and better than you do. It never ends. But work as an individual, it's a myth. We have to work together with everybody.
You're absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely correct with that. I like that.
Thank you.
And I like that. That was a nice one. But, we see here, we see our public officials, not only city council, our public officials bringing down other public officials.
Right.
And you're like, wait a minute, oh, he did a project, I would have done this better, and why did they do it, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, wait a minute, at least he did something.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At least he did something.
Right.
Oh, he did this over here, I can do blah, 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 whatever. Now we have the lazy river. We had everybody going against the lazy river. At least it's done.
Right.
It took
Well,
time for it to go in. You know what I mean?
It's not done yet.
Oh, it's not done.
completed.
What's going on now?
Completed. Well, it was supposed. As a matter of fact, today was the completion date, May 15th.
Okay.
And it's not completed. So.
Well, what's going on with that one?
Well, I heard in the news. I saw the prayer news that there were some delays, and the current council member was going to take some action at the next city council meeting, but it's not completed. It's not completed. So I mean, that's a great project, but that project was started by the previous council member. So why does it take so long? And how much money are we losing when a project is not completed?
Right.
I say we as the city, we need to make sure that whenever we
Hire
some a company to do something, that we stick to the rules, just like the charter says. Hey, this is overdue. This is something we penalize them. Either we find somebody else, we fire them, or do what we have to do. But we're not enforcing the charter as we're supposed to. We circumvent it. We give it loopholes because it's mi compadre or whatever, and people lose faith in how government works, because things like that happen.
And it's been going on for so many years, and I think people now are more alive, more open to what is actually out there, what's going on. They're voicing more their opinions. Social media has brought this forth. People are not, they don't care if, before, I remember this. I had, we all have family,
Right?
okay? And I was supporting somebody else for a previous sheriff. I was supporting one other candidate. And I get a call from, he's kin, familia. You never see him. The last time I had seen him probably was in 1990. And he calls me and he goes, hey, you know what? You're supporting so-and-so for, your cousin is going to lose his job because you're supporting him. I said, what cousin? And I'll go, my son. Never knew him, never met him, never said hi. If I see him in the street, never, you know what I'm saying? So that has to stop, and I think that is stopping now. People are saying, you know what, fire him, because I'm not going to vote for you.
Well, I believe in people, and that's something that was instilled in me in my growing up in the military. Because I had to depend on people when I was
Sure.
in the Navy, and my life depended on them, and so did theirs. So I said that because I believe that for many years, the people of Laredo have been ignored, have been stepped down, have been treated as second-class citizens. The government making decisions without they even knowing, or ignoring their decisions, ignoring their pleas. But I believe in people, and I believe that the citizens of Laredo, the people that we have, is our best resource. They are our best resources that we have, and if we can get involved in government, in city government, in local government, our community would be a lot better, because they would be well informed of the projects that we have. They can voice their opinion and say this is not right, this is what's wrong. We can easily prevent it. Some things that have been passed at city council that I totally don't agree with. If only they were just informed. But that comes with putting faith in people and making sure that we restore hope in them back again. And that's hard to do.
But I think that's what needs to happen.
Yes.
That's the number one step that needs to happen, is bringing back the trust.
And we have to be aware, because if we don't bring back trust to the voter, to the people who cares about their community, the opposite side effect is, well, what can happen is worse. We can have some lunatic, popular lunatics deciding they're going to run, and they can gain all the votes, and we don't know what can happen. So the opposite consequences can be real devastating for our city if somebody gets in power who really
No, you're absolutely correct, and that can happen.
Yes.
I mean, you can vote some knucklehead in there that doesn't know the difference between up or down, and all of a sudden you have problems.
You have big problems. Yes.
And everybody's entitled to go out there and run and vote. I tell people this: research the candidate, see who that person is behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you'll find out that a lot of them are related to each other. Okay,
Yes.
and you'll find out also that many of these candidates, they're using a position to better their family's business somewhere along the line. Research, find out who they are. And I tell folks this: right now we have early vote. Let's not forget to exercise our right to vote.
Exactly.
We have some county elections that are here, and depending, and most of Laredo has candidates in there. We have some counties as well. So please go out and exercise your right to vote. That's what I'm that's number one. Go out there and vote. But folks need to really understand why that candidate's running.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
What's
saying?
the reason behind it? And then most people, I get asked that a lot. Why are you running? Why are you doing this? And some folks even told me, what the hell? What's wrong with you? But my answer to them is because I really care about my community, and it hurts. I travel. Thank God for my job. I travel. I'm the assistant director for a program in the state of Texas, so I get to go to all over the state of Texas. And one of the questions that I get asked was, "Where are you from?" I'm from Laredo. Oh, there's always that, oh, there's always that fear. There's always like, I said, wait a minute, you know,
Now it's fear.
yeah, it kind of, it's sad. It's funny, but it's sad because, you know, it shouldn't happen that way.
Before it was a high five, I went to Papagayos.
Exactly. And now it's really, really bad.
But you know, that's what we have.
Exactly, but how do we change that? And we need to do teamwork. We need to really talk and sit down and come to a consensus of how we're going to move the city forward. The city, you know, we really, you know, I believe that once we, that's why I'm a big advocate of economic development. Because once we get businesses in here, once we get factories in here, once we get some type of industry, other than transportation. I love the transportation, but we can't rely on one transportation alone. We can't. I mean, on one industry alone. We can't rely on that. We need to have different modes of jobs that come in, different variety of jobs so that people can earn good wages, so that they can have a better life. You know, I told this person the other day, I said, hey, I'll make me a carne asada, and I have some folks in here, and you can come and do a speech. I said, I don't want to make your carne asada. I want you to make a carne asada for your neighbor once you get a good job. You know, we have to give that whole back to the people, make sure that, you know, that they understand that we have to move forward.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I think you have great points. I think you have, if elected, you have a good fight in front of you. Just don't lose faith.
Yes.
Just keep on going forward if you get elected. And it's an uphill battle. But I think that if you were able to talk to the others there and everybody comprehend what their idea is, what they want Laredo to be, I think Laredo would prosper. We got good heads there. I think everybody just kind of scattered all over the place.
Right.
But I think everybody should come in. That's why I always say the mayor has the best position because he's the one that can mediate everybody coming together. And he needs to do that. He needs to actually step up and say, you know what, this is good for everybody, and sit everybody down.
And I actually think that's one of his own written responsibilities, that he needs to, you know, bring everybody. It's his house. You see it that way. It's his house. He needs to put it in order. He needs to bring it together.
Here's a question from, hey, Howard, how we doing? And it's always asking in secondary water source. What do you believe on the secondary water source? What's your idea?
Okay, so I wasn't aware of secondary water sources until I started research. The research that I've done, it kind of scares me, what I have learned. I never thought that having a river, we will come to that problem. So the research, the little research that I've done, and I need to do more, but it's leading me to, we need to really think about this problem. We really need to find another method or another resource, resource of water resource, because the consequences of not having it can be very, very bad.
Let me tell you something right now. When you have water bottles that cost more than Coca-Cola bottles,
It's a problem.
we have a problem,
It's a
okay?
problem.
And you go to some areas here in the state of Texas that the water costs more than Coke.
Right.
So it costs more than beer, okay? In some instances. Okay, so we have a problem. We have to start looking for that. And we need we need everybody to come down and say, you know what, this is a problem, let's tackle it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need. And if we have and I'll say this, if we have a public official that does not want to look or vision towards Laredo prospering forward, we need to get rid of them. You know what? ¿Sabes qué? Vamos para afuera. Vote them out.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Principle. You have 4 years. In 4 years, you did your job, and you get reelected in another 4 years. Beautiful. And that's what we need to do. We need to understand what we need.
Right.
And we have a lot of folks coming up. We have a lot of elections coming up in the city. Yours is one of them. How many others are? I know District 6.
I think District C has about 7.
Yeah.
And District 1 has 2 candidates running, 3 and 6. So
Which is District 1?
This one is the one that is adjacent to me. It's in the south.
Sure.
It runs further south on 83, and it jumps over to Los Presidentes and Cuatro Vientos, so kind of towards that area.
Okay.
You know, when I left San Antonio to go to the service, and a few years later I came back, and I don't know if you pay attention to this, but sometimes on the news over there in San Antonio, they give you the aquifer readings, levels. And when I was there before, I said, well, that never happened. So that's a change. So now they're more they're consciously aware of where the water levels are at and the condition of the water, the contamination levels and whatnot. And I don't think we pay attention here in Laredo.
No, we
about
don't.
that.
You know, you go to Tempe, Arizona, you go to Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's a little bit more of a desert climate over there than we are, but we're not that far off,
Right?
okay? Their landscape of every house is dealing with a desert type of a landscape, a brush country landscape. Here, we have oaks that take a lot of water. Everybody wants their green grass out there. Everybody wants these big old pecan trees. Well, they drink water.
Yeah. So,
I mean, unfortunately, that's where a lot of our water goes to the lawns. Okay, they look pretty beautiful, but why don't we start using more
native plants.
native plants that go for this area? You know?
Xeriscape, that's what I think it's called. And yes, and everybody wants to have. In fact, there's one politician here who has made the headlines in the last 2 years because he's the #1 consumer of water. Mr. John Galo has been on the headlines. I think they do. LMT does a report, annual report on who are the top consumers of water, and he's always on the top. Of course, he owns a lot of land, but do we really need to water all that?
Well, it depends. You might have a lot of cattle, but let me see. We have to start by ourselves. You know that you have to clean up our own backyards. Now we start here. Let's start moving forward. Let's clean this and move forward. And how they say, oh, look at all those kids over there in the corner. They're throwing eggs. Oh, they're over there. The youngsters are already smoking. They're 12, 13, 14 years old. Hey, they're already smoking dope over there. Is your kid with them?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. No, then you're doing a good job. Your kid's right here doing his homework and he's doing good stuff.
Right.
Let's start with him first. Then we can start worrying about our little community and then start moving forward. But we ourselves have to start cleaning up our own selves.
Start your own home. Yes, absolutely.
Understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Then we can go out there and start pointing. And we don't have the money that the Galos have. So they spend more money watering, well, good for them. But, that's neither here or there. I think we have to set something around the radar for the new development that's coming in, new subdivisions. Well, guess what? This subdivision now has to be all desert plants,
Right.
not oak trees.
And that's,
You understand what I'm saying?
That's a solution. That's a solution.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Let's start moving forward into that. Okay?
There a few years ago, there was city government passed an ordinance that now every new subdivision has to have some type of small park, some type of, for the kids. So there are some good things that happen in city government.
Like I said, we have good heads in there, but everybody's kind of like, están todos desbalagados, We have to kind of bring them back in, that we need a good shepherd to bring them back in, or, a good cowboy to bring the herd back in, and let's move forward. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, and that's basically the way it is. Or else we're gonna have what people say is apparent corruption, which might not be, but you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
But I wish you the best.
Thank you, sir.
I want to thank you for coming over and expressing yourself.
Thank you.
And anything you want to tell the folks out there?
Well, I just like to address the citizens of District 2 and the citizens of Laredo that my name is Gabriel Lopez. I'm just a regular citizen that after 10 years of advocating for civil issues decided to let's do something for our community, for my community, that will really benefit everybody. And so I'm running for City Council District 2. My goals and my ideas are really, or I guess I should say, what you see with me is what you get. There are no false promises. There are no huge grandeur, projects or anything like that. All I can tell you is that I will work hard for you, as I've always done. 20 years of service, and I humbly ask for your support. And God willing, I will be your elected official. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And folks, once more, go out there and vote. It's early voting. And this weekend we have USA Savant's going to have the 3rd annual Texas Stick Fighting Championship. It's going to be over at the Boys and Girls Club.
Sorry.
And on Thursday, we have the president of USA Savant, which is Lieutenant Commander Patrick Gavin, is going to be in here. We're going to be touching base with projects that we have throughout the United States and some laws that implement that. And let's keep on that moving forward. Many people don't know that the Mecca of Savant is actually here in Laredo.
Really?
So let's
Awesome.
move forward. From here,
Yes, sir.
everything started. So you guys out there, peace.